Hi, thanks for joining today. This practice is going to be perfect if you've spent a weekend out or done a lot of activity. It's going to be a quick refresh to help us if we're feeling a little bit tight, sore, or tired. We're going to begin standing. So just stand with your feet something like hip to shoulder width apart. And as you exhale, just drop your hands down by your sides. Roll your shoulders back. Lift the top of your sternum, but just try to keep the front ribs in check a little bit. On the in-breath, turn your palms away from your legs and sweep your arms all the way up overhead. We're just going to do that once. So we're going to stay standing and we're going to exhale the arms back down. Now this time we're going to reach overhead. Same thing on the inhale, just a slow, steady breath in as you reach the arms up. Now we're going to side bend to the right and we're going to drop that left hand down. The right hand down. I'm going to put it on your hip for a little bit of support. Just lean your hips over to the side, roll the chest back open, and stretch nice and firmly up through the left hand and down through the left leg. Inhale, come back to center. Take the right arm up. And exhale, bend the other way. Now the left hand to the left hip. Just push your hips slightly to the right. Take your chest and head back, reaching up through the top arm and down through the bottom of both feet. Inhale, center. We're going to reverse back to the first side again. Exhale. Now this time we're going to make a change. We're going to take that left leg and we're going to step it back and over to the right. Then we're going to drop down into that heel and we're going to bend the right leg. So all we're doing here is we're bringing a little balance component, but we're increasing the side stretch. Whoops, I just did that balance component. We're increasing the side stretch by moving that left foot behind us over to the right. So if this is too much, you can always just keep your feet as is. Here, if you want more stretch, you can bend into the front leg and just keep reaching up and over through the left side, left hand. Now we're going to bring the torso up first. We're going to go hands either to the hips or by the sides. And as we come out, we're going to take this left leg into tree pose. So you can put that toes on the floor for balance. You can bring the foot up to your inner thigh, wherever works for you. Try not to push against your knee. That's just a less stable place. Any arm option you want. Just take your eyes out, looking out to the distance. If you were outside doing outdoor activities, maybe just remembering that beautiful view that you saw while you were out. We'll keep the hips pointing straight forward, but just open that left knee a little bit to the left without letting the hips rotate to the side. As you exhale, step down and find a moment of pause with both feet on the earth. On the in-breath, take the arms overhead. We're side bending over to the left. Put your left hand on your hip, and now take your right leg. You can bend both knees for the transition. Step it back and across to the left behind you. So when you land, usually the toes hit first, and then you push into that right heel and bend the left leg forward, bend the left knee forward. Take your front ribs back again. Lift the top of your sternum and stretch up through your right hand. Now remember, you can bend deeper into the left knee. That's going to increase the stretch in your side body. Or if this is too much, you can just keep both feet next to each other and not step this odd around behind foot position. Either way, we're going to bring the torso up and drop the top hand down. When we step out of this, we're going to bring that left foot, right, I have my dyslexia on today, toes to the floor, and pausing there if you need to, or just going right up into tree pose. Take a moment to find a little center of gravity, of balance. Oftentimes when we've worked ourselves hard, doing, good thing there's a wall there, doing activities out in nature, we get real dehydrated and we work pretty hard, and all of that can kind of tighten up the tissues. And at least for me, that makes balance a lot harder. Being dehydrated and having worked and been tight, it's a struggle. Okay, let's step that foot down. Exhale again, just pausing in a moment of balance with both feet on the earth. We'll take one more pose standing here. So we're going to step the feet wide, and this is where you may want a block. We're going to do triangle pose, so if that makes it easier for you to reach and be more stable. Either way, turn the right foot out. And for this alignment today, let's go heel of the front foot in line with heel of the back foot. So that back foot's just a tiny bit forward. Thanks, June. She's giving me a little cleaning here. So that offset where you have your front heel intersecting the back heel is going to be a little bit easier for balance and a little bit easier if you're tighter in your hips. So that said, we're going to take the hands to the hips. We're going to tip the hips over to the right. And when we feel that resistance hitting in the inner leg or the side body, we're going to stop there and either put the hand on the shin or grab the block if that feels more stable. Now, just like in that tree pose, when you turn your knee out a little bit, I asked you to keep your hips from rotating around because your hips can only go so far. And in this pose, what that means is that the hips will probably turn slightly towards the floor. So just let your hips go where it's natural for them to rotate. Don't try to force this left hip back toward the sky. Instead, straighten your legs. Imagine even like you're spreading your toes and growing through the soles of your feet. Then lengthen through the crown, even through the neck. And turn your ribs more toward the sky. So that's what you can turn. You draw those front rib points back and you rotate them around. Maybe you turn your head if that's okay with your neck and you start to look up a little bit. And then you're going to sweep up through the left hand. And we're just going to hold this for one more breath. You can put your top hand back on your hip if you took it up. Push into the feet, recruit the muscles of your belly, and stand. Turn your feet parallel, just pausing there to regroup. If you have a block and you want to move it, go ahead. Hey, you don't need to lick so much, honey. Okay, we're going to turn the left foot out. And as we turn the right foot slightly in, just remember today we're working with heel to heel alignment. If you drew a line between your feet, that's going to make it a little bit easier if your legs are tight or tired. Go hands to hips. You'll notice here, if your hips are in their natural orientation, they're going to be slightly rotated to the right. And that's anatomically neutral. Instead of forcing your hips to face the long edge of your mat and twisting at that left knee, just let your hips be in more normal position and think more like level in the horizontal plane. From there, then we tip out of horizontal, we dip in at the left hip and lean over to the left. When you feel that resistance in your inner thigh or the outer side of your right hip or wherever it goes, just stop there, put your hand on your hip or your block, your shin or your block. And then here we're just letting the hips be in this slight rotation, just a natural alignment. We're going to straighten the legs, spread the toes, like you're opening the soles of the feet. Grow the spine longer. And then if there's room in your body, you can start to turn the chest. Don't force it. If it's not feeling like there's room or space right now, just be patient. Head might turn, it might look forwards, depends on how your neck is feeling. Go ahead and reach up through the right arm. And stay with it for maybe one more breath. Push into the feet, bring the torso upright. turn the feet parallel again. If you have a block, you can move it to the front. We're gonna take the feet, maybe like 4 feet apart or so. And this time we're gonna hinge forward at the hips, and we're gonna reach toward the floor or the block, or in my case, the dog, Miss Junebug. This is our foster dog right now. She's still fairly needy with space. She wants to be in the middle of everything and doesn't give much space or boundaries yet. She's working on it. Lie down. So if you go deeper in this pose, you're welcome to put your head on the block. You could put it on the floor. You want to feel like you're lengthening your neck regardless of where you end up. In other words, you don't want to be crunching your neck by jamming it against the surface, like the block too high. If it doesn't make it to anything, that's fine too. There's a tendency to lean back in this pose. So, you don't want to lean so far forward that you feel like you're going to fall over, but see if you can play on that slightly precarious feeling balance point, where when you lean forward with your hips kind of more above your ankles, you really start to increase that stretch, but you don't go so far that you have to grip with your toes or anything. And just bring your hands back out in front of you so that you can heel toe and walk your feet toward one another. If you still have a block or a prop, push that back and then just sit your behind on it with the knees bent deeply, so deep squat. Just turn the toes out a little bit. You can put your elbows on top of your knees and join like you're interlacing your fingers or in like a prayer position or 2 knuckles together. Use your hands as a resting point. You can put your third eye on your thumb tips. If this is too hard for your knees, you could do this just sitting cross-legged on the floor, or maybe sitting in a chair and leaning your torso over more. Let's take another breath here, sitting in this supported squat, if that's what you're doing. And you're going to release your hands, lift the head, and pop off of the block. And begin to just lie down on your side, or on your back. Once you get on your back, draw your knees up toward your chest. Give a gentle squeeze with your hands. Just pulling in, allowing the back of your waist to drop. And then take both knees over to the right in a twist. You can reach your left arm either up alongside your ear or out to the left behind you. I like putting a little weight on my left knee, just using the right hand, just as a counterbalance to the rotation of the spine twisting. Please bring your legs back to the center and take them over to the other side. Left hand on right knee. And then right arm either reaching kind of overhead or out to the right. Let's let that right waist drop back towards the floor. Maybe even use your core strength to help turn the ribs a little bit deeper to the right. Please release, come back to center. If you have that block nearby, you can grab that, lift your hips, and take it like maybe the medium or low height, pop your hips up on it, and come into a supported bridge pose. If you don't have a yoga block, you can always just stack up a couple pillows, like throw pillows that are kind of smaller and firmer. Those would be good. Just allow gravity to help bring some blood back to your head. You can always press your tail into your block if it feels stable and elevate your feet and knees. If you're a little tighter in your legs or they're still feeling overdone from what you've been doing, you can keep your knees bent. If you're a little more limber or you want a little more intense inversion, you can straighten the legs up toward the sky. Just be cautious to press your tail down so that the block doesn't squirt out from underneath you. So we'll stay here for about 3 or 4 more breaths. Just letting gravity bring the blood fluids out of the legs, back toward the heart to get recirculated through the system. If you do have your feet elevated, I mean, obviously you can pause the video and stay longer, but if you're ready to come out, just touch your feet down. Just take your time, lifting your hips, pull the prop out from underneath you, and set it to the side. If your back needs anything else to feel settled, of course, take that time. Otherwise, stretch your legs out and rest your hands either on your abdomen or out to the sides. Close your eyes. Release your weight back into the floor. With your exhale, surrendering the weight to gravity and letting go of the urge to resist or struggle or fight the relaxation. Start to send your breath back into the back of your waist. So the back of your waist moves toward the floor and broadens out to the sides. Exhale slowly out your mouth. Do that one more time. Inhale through the nose into the back of the waist, spreading the back ribs wide and toward the floor. And exhaling slowly with control, so it's a long breath out. And you can start to blink the eyes open, roll the wrists and the ankles, and stretch out in any way that helps you to reawaken. And roll on over to your side. Pause for a breath or two. And come back on up to sitting. Once you sit, pause in your upright head upright position, reacclimating. If you like, if it's meaningful to you, bring your hands to Anjali Mudra in front of your heart. Grateful for this amazing body that can do so much. And again, exhale out slowly through the mouth and bow your head. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to practice yoga with me. Much gratitude from my heart to yours. Thank you.